just a good old boy.
So I got asked here the other day in a comment about these wheel rakes, and it was a very, very good question. And I felt like really this might be a question a lot of people would have, and I felt like the only way really to do it justice is to actually have the rake and show you how all these settings work. The question was, when you're square baling with a wheel rake versus a roll bar or rotary rake, how do you limit the amount of hay going into the row? So that way, if you're in real heavy hay, like we bale a lot of times, can you lessen the amount of hay going in for a square baler? Because a lot of square balers don't have, well, most square balers can't eat the same capacity as a round baler. So depending on the size of baler you want to make your windrows a certain size with a certain amount of hay in it to get the bales uniform and the right shape and the way you want to bale. Well, this is one thing that I have found exclusive with the Kuhn Speedrake SR108 G2, which was one of my favorite features about this rake altogether, is it has several different ways you can adjust this rake for crop flow. The amount of crop you take in to the amount of crop how size the windrows are and everything. It has lots of adjustments, whereas a lot of the rakes that I've looked at and looked into, they're pretty well plain like our old SR108 was. This is the G2, this is the newer rake. We just bought this rake this year. As y'all may know, we did get it from Kane Equipment. There's their logo. They also put Bible verses on all their equipment too. Really, really good company to work with. They've been good friends of ours for several years now, and I just can't say enough about them and the quality dealer that they are. So what I really like about these is this is what sets these rakes apart from all the other rakes, in my opinion, is this. You have the ability on a four-wheel rake, or if it's bigger, they still have the same adjustment to adjust the rear two wheels, which you probably think, well, that's not going to change the flow of hay coming in. Well, then that's where you come to this. You also have this adjustment. Right now, I have this rake set up for the other day when we were square baling. A lot of y'all have probably heard me talk about before changing this rake maybe around to set it up for square baling versus round baling. Round baling, I push it out wider and I make these straight. And the reason why is you have an adjustment to push these out through here, which most of the rakes have this, which widens the V out as a whole, the frame. So that way you're intaking more or less hay. Well, you can let it in or push it out for that. Another thing you can do is adjust these. You can pull the rake in or out. That's pretty standard on most wheel rakes nowadays. But what sets this rake apart from all those rakes is this back adjustment. Because now you have the ability to suck the front in. You can pull the frame in all the way, which narrows the whole frame of the rake up, and it's already pulling in less hay by doing that. Then you can also pull your front wheels in, which narrows the V at the front, which also takes less hay in. Foot, maybe 2 foot, don't seem like much, but when you're pulling it up in a windrow, it's a lot. And by doing that, it allows you to intake less hay with both sides. Say you want to run both sides. And then you have the adjustment on the back end to narrow your windrow up to where it will fit that by the less hay. And because here's the difference. Your standard wheel rake is always going to stay like this. The bar is going to be perfectly straight. Well, that widens this whole rear end out. Okay, see how wide it is now? Imagine if I do that. All right, let's come back here, and I'm going to take this out. I'm going to move it back the way I had it. Okay, hold on a minute. It may take me a second to get this done. All right, so now I've got my arm bent. See how much narrower the back end is? Now let's come up here. I'm going to widen it all the way back out to where it would normally be on most rakes. Okay, this is going to give y'all a real big perspective of the difference that this rake gives you versus the other rakes. We're going to widen this thing all the way out where it's supposed to be. keep in mind, I've got the frame sucked all the way in, okay, from the slide outs. Look how much wider the back end of this rake is now, just by that one adjustment. So in order to get this back end to narrow back up to where I need it to be, I have to widen my fronts out now. Let's do that. Let's take a look at this, because I need to swap this back to raking with the for the round baler. So we're going to take this out. It's hard to do all this one-handed. I'm going to pull this pin out. Alright. So look how much wider I had to move this rake back just to get that end back there. Your standard rake, most of the wheel rakes on the market that you see, that is your only adjustment. Here and here. And when you narrow your back end, it widens out the front. But with the Kuhn Speedrake, you have the ability to adjust all that to where you can keep the front narrow, which also helps increase your wheel speed. In some crops, that'll help you rake it without balling. And then it also allows you to narrow the rear end in and take in less hay. Now say that's not enough. Say if you do all that and you narrow the rake in and everything from these points, you still can narrow in the points here and slide these in, which these are all slid in, or you have the choice right here on the valve. This is the lock position where the hydraulics won't work, or you just got the right. You can rake just like a regular roll bar rake with one side, and it will lock the left side up, or you can flop it to R plus L, which is right plus L, and you can use both wings. So this rake has a lot of adjustability to it as far as the crop flow and the amount of material that you're pulling in at one time. That's one thing I really liked about this rake versus some of the others. These are your ground pressure settings, and one huge difference that they did on these rakes besides just this is they fixed these pins. These pins used to be fixed mounted and they would not float, and if you had a tractor without float, it wouldn't allow these to relieve the pressure as you go over uneven ground. Whereas now these slots allow these to move. It'll allow these wings to flex up and down all on their own, and you don't need a gravity feed float tractor to run it. You can also get these with the double tires on it on the frame to help it float over the ground better. If you wanted that, you can get a kicker wheel in the back. I think they have a hydraulic cylinder that works those to flip the center hay that's in the middle if you're worried about that. One other question I had was about the trash with the wheel rake. Everybody, I hear this all the time about the trash on the wheel rakes, how much material they pick up off the ground from the trash. Now, this is where it gets down to the peckway I looked at. The peckway has the ability to take and lessen the down pressure on each wheel, so you don't have as much pressure. Your pressure is what pulls all that stuff in. If you take less pressure off of these wheels, it will allow it to. Now this rake has the ability to do that. You have to adjust these springs and it will pick the whole wing up rather than individually setting each wheel. It'll increase the down pressure so you don't have so much down pressure. Personally, we've been running wheel rakes for years. We've had Vermeer, we've had Kuhn, we had 2 or 3 other brands at one time also, and I have not seen the trash situation. There's a little bit, but it's not enough to even amount to anything, at least what I think people are talking about. I have not personally seen enough of anything to make any difference at all. And my whole thing with a rotary rake is they work great, but my concern is on terrace land with that's rougher like ours is the expense of maintenance on one of those and keeping it working. The other thing is just the general maintenance on them, because they have tines. It's like more like a fluffer. You got gearboxes, you got all that. The expense is a lot more on a rotary rake versus one of these. These are around $5,000 market area, kind of in there, 5 to 6 for a wheel rake, versus looking at a rotary rake. I mean, you're talking thousands of dollars more. Is there enough benefit there to justify all that extra expense and then all the extra maintenance? Because you've got all those gearboxes and everything to keep up with. They will fail, seals will go out, bearings will go out. With these, you don't really have to worry about that. There's not a lot of moving parts. The only moving parts really on these machines is these bearings right in here, and I've never had one of these hubs on any rake we've ever had, no matter what brand it is, to go bad. They have grease fittings, and well, that's on this side. And every one of these, you don't even have to grease them that often. You put one squirt of grease in them ever so often. Not even got to do it you don't have to do it every day. They require not that much grease. You pack them full of grease, they possibly cause them to go bad. So they don't require a lot of maintenance. There's no electronics. You have 2 hydraulic cylinders and that's it. Everything's gravity fed driven, and they're pretty simple. To me, wheel rakes are the way to go. As far as expense and speed, there is no limitation on speed with these rakes. They're meant to go fast. Whereas a rotary rake, you can only go so fast. That's my whole thing. Even a roll bar rake, you can only run so fast. With these, if you've got good ground to run on, you can run as fast as you want to go. And that's just, there's a lot of benefits to a wheel rake. It is an older technology, especially for the guys in Europe. They look at these, they're like, man, we had those years ago. Why are y'all still running those? Well, they've made a lot of improvements to the original wheel rakes. Even when they were here several years ago, we had the wheel rakes, and they did not have any of this. I mean, it was one cylinder, push it up, and a mechanical system folded up. They weren't built real heavy. They broke all the time. They were cheesy made. Now, I mean, you've got all these adjustments and variabilities that you can push in, from ground pressure to everything with these rakes, and it's just endless what you can do. Now here I'm going to demonstrate y'all how you widen these rakes out, because I've got to widen this out. Hold on a minute, let me set y'all right here, that way y'all don't see. You just take your jack, there is a little tab, I won't take it off, right here. You just put your round pipe that slides over right there, and then you put your foot here. You can also pull it in this way, and you put your jack through there, and you just turn it. Pull the pin out. You turn it. You get it out. I ain't round it out yet. You turn it out. Going in, you can push them in by hand. I did these the other day by hand. And you just jack it out. It's as simple as that. I run this one on the second hole for rolling hay. Right there is where I run it at. Push your pin back through. Simple as that. Put your clip pin in. I got it widened out. It's just as easy to pull it in. You come over here, then you pull this pin out. These are also adjustable by screw. You just run that thing through and you can screw them. I do believe that it is already out where it's supposed to be, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check here in a second. You just drop your pin back in, and you've got a completely adjusted rake. I adjusted this entire rake from round rolling to square bales the other day in the field. It took like 2 or 3 minutes to do it. It's no big deal to change this rake over from different settings. This is the Kuhn Speedrake SR108 G2, and I really, really like it. Also going to come over here and I'm going to take a look at my building. I had gotten a request a long time ago. Sorry, I'm just now getting to it, to look at this building. This is a Carolina Carports building. For the people that were interested in knowing, this is a 32-inch door. You could have went with 36. You can make it to where you have doors going in and out from the side. I did go with the A-frame style on it with the trim out. I really like this building. It has 10 by 10 doors. It is 24 foot wide by, it's 14 foot to the peak in the center. To the top of the doors, I think it's 11 or 12, where the level part comes across, and it's 36 foot long. I bought this. This is in my shop. I own it. I think at the time I bought it, it was like, with the pad and everything, I think it run me about $9 $9,000 to put this building in. Really like this building. I did red on the sides, white on the top, so it'd match all the barns. Over here is also another Carolina Carports building. This is the different style frame. It's the rounded edges style. It's been a good building too. This building here is 14 feet to the top. To the center, I think it's 16 in the center. And then I think it is, I think it's 36 foot by 24, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember exactly what the dimensions were on this building. I do like the A-frame better. I just like the way they go together. It seems to be a good sturdy building. This one here is really sturdy. If you buy one of these buildings, Dad has one of these in this style frame. It only has just the sides and the top, and his does not have the back. We put the back in this one. I prefer them with at least one back side enclosed, so that, because if you don't, and they don't have enough bracing, the braces inside of them, let me show y'all these. We messed up when we ordered this building and didn't get extra braces, it seems like, or did we? No, this one here we did. It's the one my dad has, we didn't. The braces up top, get the extra braces for every leg. If you don't, and you get, he has I think it's a 10-foot tall by 14-foot wide or 16-foot wide building. And it's basically a carport building. It's not, but like, it's the length of a truck deep, a pickup truck deep, and you can put 2 vehicles in it. His only has the sides and the top, and he did not get the extra bracings put in. So it does, over the years, it has swayed some, and you have to tighten the legs back, or the bolts back up in the tin. This building here is as hard as a rock. I've had it now for several years. Does not move a lick. That one there don't move any because of the back wall, and we put the extra bracing in it. I do recommend extra braces. If you leave the ends open, make sure you get the extra braces put on in the A-frame style. But I really like these Carolina Carport buildings. They're cheap and they're all metal. And they got multiple different options now. You can get them with wings and everything. I'm actually probably going to look into maybe getting a wing put on this one later, which they told me at the time they can come back and do. That way I can park stuff underneath the side. I'd really like to have a large wide wing off the side if I just build it myself, depending on what it'll cost. And they're really reasonable, or they used to be. I don't know about now, but used to, they were really reasonable. But I really like that building a lot. I've been very pleased with it. Very sturdy. They don't move any in the wind. This one here hasn't. That's enclosed. Very good buildings. So that's the Rake. That's the building. Hope this helps people and answers some of the questions y'all have with the comments. As far as the farm goes, hadn't had a whole lot going on this week. I know that some of the videos have been a little bit slow. That's why. We just haven't had a whole lot going on. It's been raining. I mean, I've been busy as I can be, delivering hay and doing stuff like that, but it's nothing that's really video worthy, I guess you'd say. But that's one of the videos has been a little bit slower. But yeah, Kuhn Speedrake SR108 G2. Give them a call. Kane Equipment, 770-983-3608. Their website is www.kaneequipment.com. Give them a call. Really good people over there. Cannot say enough about them. They're my Massey dealer, they're my Klaus dealer, they're my Kuhn dealer. They are a dealer for a little bit of everything over there. So if you need something, chances are you can find it over there. So give them a buzz. They do not pay me, contrary to probably what a lot think. I don't get paid to do any of this. They treat me good, and they've always given us the parts when I needed them, and they've always been really good to us with service and just friends. And that's why I push them. They don't pay me a dime. I wouldn't take a dime off of them. As good as they've been to us, and I can't say enough about Kane Equipment. Cabe and his wife Jody over there. You'll not meet two nicer people than they are. They're just good, down-to-earth people. So y'all go check them out if you want one. And I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe.